When I look at the number 4 here, our third video of the day, user comments restricted by IP. Well, we got to think about this, and we can think about it together. But if you recall, let's do localhost here, and final project. Down here below, there's only one script where the user comments are, and that's inside the recipe page. Now, here's the deal. When we do something like this, if we have a good ERD, it should dictate our functionality. So let's first give them the ID, the ability to comment, okay? Now, if you look at our comments here, we have user ID, comment, recipe ID. And then we also have users here. So username. So when we think about it, let's target the script that they're going to work in first, which is recipe.php. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in and make some comments, okay? So this is recipe.php, and it's got the specific section here. So here's the concept. Down here under comments, we would have a link under each one that says something like make comment. So let's start there, okay? This is the comment here, and these are all the comments for this, comment, comment, comment. And then inside here we can say something like, okay, make ahref equals question mark, make comment, okay? And you guys don't know JavaScript yet, but what I could do, well, hopefully you might, but right here, so we see that make comment didn't occur on that section. So under each area, we need to be very vigilant about the number of comments. So receive from receive. Okay, so first thing we need to do is get all the comments. So let me make a, because if you look, this doesn't have a comment. This has all the loops of the comments and the comment at the end. So that makes sense. We wouldn't want to make comments until it was after each section. So I'm going to add a break tag. This is the functionality that I am looking for. And maybe we have a form underneath where the user can add a comment. So maybe this isn't such a good idea to have a link because people don't know JavaScript. I could have an on-click, and you'll see this brings you to the top page, but let's go ahead and make a form. So on this section, I am going to, because it's after the while loop, we'll close this down. And the only comment we need to have is a username and a password, okay? Not a password, rather, but just a username and the comment itself. So in this case, we'll do another form. So this form action equals recipe.php. Method can be post. And I'm going to close the form here, and this will be username, input type equals text, name equals username. Great. And then the comment itself. Okay, so this will be text area, and the name can be equal to comment. Now we could restrict the the number of characters. There's a lot of things we could do, but I don't want to cloud the project. If during the week you go through this and you want to add something to this project, just hit me up and make a request. I might satisfy it. I don't know. Let's see if it's worth it to our class to do it. So this submit will be called make comment. Now, we got our form, and that's a nice way to do it because, as I tell you, when you start a process, if you don't know where to start, always start with the user. So we've done that. Now when I hit this and I hit refresh, you see I have username, comment, and make comment. So let's go ahead and hit the break on this. And we'll talk about the restricting after it gets done. Okay, so right now, let's just get it working. And what I would do is I would make the insert before we select all of the values. Okay, so in my PHP right here, I'm going to go insert comment here. Okay, but this is also where we're going to restrict the value. So down here, restrict by IP here. In other words, if they have commented on this post before and they have the same IP, we're not going to show this form. That's the plan. So let's do this. So I'm going to do submit. Oops, helps if I spell. Equals underscore post submit. And if you recall, our submit button has the value make comment. So if scalar submit is equal to make comments, we are a go, folks. So what I'm going to do is grab our username equals underscore post username. Let's do username. There we go. And the comment itself can be equal to underscore post username. Okay. Now, this is where we check for the IP. Now, I'm going to do that after, okay, because someone could bypass our section here and create their own form and submit twice. So we have to check before the actual insert. We're going to check it twice. So basically, if there's an IP, we're not going to show form, and we're not going to basically do an insert. But right now, I'm just going to do the insert just because I want you to see it working. Okay. So we'll do DBH, and we know we're already connected because it is the recipe section. So we'll do prepare, and this will be called insert into recipes. And if you look on the comment here, we need to insert in the users first because the comments over here have the user ID, the comment, and the recipe ID. So we need to insert into users first. So insert into users first. So I'm going to make comments here because I'm actually looking at the this section. So we'll do this. Check out our users table, username. Okay, that's the first step. Then we have to insert the comments. Okay, so we're going to insert into comments second, and that's user ID, comment, and the recipe ID, which comes from the URL window. All right, so third, after the comment is successfully inserted, we need to insert into IP address. And in this case, we're going to insert the user ID, because that's a holder table, the comment ID, and the IP address. Okay, now I'm just going to get my launcher out here. So those are our steps. So let's start with the user. Okay, this is insert into rec underscore users. And this will be the values. Let's click on it. Well, we actually have it in front. We'll just do username like this, and the values, and then we'll just do the same thing we've been doing, which is a question mark. Okay. So that is our preparation, and we'll call this user in SQL. And we'll make it equal to that prepared statement. Now we have something we can bind. So we'll do user in SQL, and we'll bind the value, and we'll go for 1 and username, and it'll be PDO : param string. Cool. So there's the first one. Okay. Now when we execute, we'll need that last insert ID again, the one from the last video. Okay. So we'll call this user. We'll call this user ID. We'll call it, yeah, user ID, I think will be good. And this would be DBH. Oops. And this will be last user ID, like that. Okay. So now we have that checked off. That is done. Now we need to insert into the comments, knowing that we have a user ID now. Okay. So this will be called comments in SQL. So basically, comment insert, we'll make that equal to DBH prepare. A lot of work here, but you'll see that the table structure kind of drives it. And because we have borrowed keys that are dependent on the previous insert, you just have to be careful with it. Okay, so we have the user ID. Let's throw this in the comment section. So this will be insert into rec underscore comments, and this will be user ID. All right, we'll do comment, and then we'll do recipe ID. And we'll be inserting the values of question mark, comma, question mark, comma, question mark. And I think that's a go. So now we can bind those values, comment in SQL, and we'll bind the first value. Oops. This is going to be a very long video, I think. So buckle your seatbelts, folks. And then we'll have PDO, and this will be an integer. Now I realize that I've been telling you guys that we don't need to bind values if it comes directly from a query, but the comment will need to be bound definitely, and we're in there. We might as well go through this for all three. So I am going to copy and paste this. This will be bind value 2. And we need to bind the comments because you might have punctuation in it, and PDO will make it quite nice. So comment is equal to post underscore, make sure it's comment. And I'm just going to double check the form field, and it is comment. So we've bound the comment. Now we can copy and paste again. And our third value is going to be the recipe ID, which is actually right up here from the URL window. So I'm literally going to copy and paste that, and that is also a param int. Now our comment needs to be a param string. So now we've bound our parameters, and now I can do comments in SQL, and I can go ahead and execute. Okay, so this is great, but aren't we going to need the comment ID for the IP address and our protection? Yes, we are. So right now what we're going to need to do is get that last insert ID. So I'll call this last comment ID, and that can be equal to dbh last insert ID, like that. So we're doing the same thing again. So let me comment this out. So I can say now insert into comments table. So really the ERD completely guides our production right now. So this next one we can say, okay, now insert into IP address. So this person can't troll. He can't do anything if he's from the same IP. Now he can go to a different computer. Of course, if we're on the Mesa College network, it's all one IP, so we wouldn't be able to post from Mesa twice. And this is kind of what we'll be able, for a bare minimum project, what we're going to do. We get into WebD 166, which is more of a PHP database course. We can control with a registration system. But for now, this is about databases and getting data in and out. So now let's do IP in SQL. And what we're going to do is make that equal to, again, dbh prepare, same stuff over and over and over again, which should help a little bit. And of course, when this course ends, you're going to forget a lot of stuff. So if you keep going, that's how it'll get into your brain. So insert into REC IP address. And I got to do a once over before I do all this, but it's user ID, comment ID, and IP address. So right here, and I'll zoom up a little bit so I can see it. So it's user ID, comment ID, and again, there's no primary key on this one. This one is a holder table, which is the only part of this database that is third normal form. So I'm binding values again, and again, I'm just being thorough with it. So IPIN SQL, let's bind value, and this will be 1, and the value that we're going to bind is the user ID. So this will be user ID, and it'll be PDO, colon param int, and then we'll grab another one here. So this will be PDO bind value 2. In this case, we're going to be comment ID, so it's going to be called the last comment ID, and that'll be an integer as well. And the last is going to be the IP address. So let me show you how to grab that. IP address can be grabbed straight from the server variable. So it's equal to the server superglobal, and it's called remote. I think it's capitals. ADDDR. Okay, so this value is that. No, I grabbed it outside of the condition because we're going to reuse it for the form, and we're going to be extra cautious with it. Okay, so this is going to be IP, and this one is going to have to be a string because it does have the dots. Okay, so right now I am binding those values, and now I can go ahead and execute. I am anxious to test this because rarely, if ever, do I code something and it actually works the first time. But I'm having a good night, so let's see if we're going to be lucky with this. Okay, so we'll add some output of comment posted successfully here. Comment posted successfully. But really, I just want to test it, and we'll add break tags to that, just because I want it to be not smudged up against anything else on the page. Okay, let's give it a shot. So I have my recipes here, and let's say my username is Carb Freak. I ate 4 servings. So let's make the comment. Here we go, and let's see if it's there. So this is. Ooh, it looks like my my form action went to the index instead of the recipe.php. So that's the first error in this case. Now it went to recipe. So let's see why things got redirected. Oh, I know why. It's because the URL window does not have my the query string in it. All right, so here's a trick. Okay, you can add the question mark here, and I'm going to do PHP. And for those of you who didn't see it, like right now, if I go to my form action inside here, look where the form action is going. It's going to recipe.php. But if it doesn't have that query string on it, what happens is the redirect occurs, because if empty recipe ID or it's not numeric, it relocates to the home page. So it relocated to the home page before I could even get the work done. So what we need to do is do something really cool, and that is going to be output underscore server. And there is a var here that is equal to the query string. So when I hit refresh here, watch what happens. You see how it says recipe ID is 1? Watch when I do 2. Now it says recipe ID equals 2. So the concept there is that we now are going to keep that query string. Okay, so like, let's say I do Carb Freak again. Awesome sauce. Oops, helps if I spell. Make the comment. It'll go to the same page. No, I need to refresh it, and that's why it didn't happen that time. Let's make sure that this page gets refreshed. So this is Carb Freak, and I'm going to write awesome sauce again, and we'll make the comment, and it should stay in the same thing. Okay, so when it's not working, that means you have a fatal error. Now let's take a look at my error log inside MAMP to see where the error log is occurring. So I'm going to go out a little bit in my section here. We can go to logs, PHP error log, and I'm not going to open it up with my error console. I'm going to open it up with Sublime, actually, because I just want to do this clean. So there's Sublime. We can look at our error logs here, and I can always open it up with it now. So in the future, now I'm going to scroll down. Now, I realize this is getting quite long, but basically it says uncut error, call to undefined method PDO last user ID in recipe 24. So my last user ID has an issue. So let's look at, it looks like the notices are just notices, so I'm not worried about that. But it is, let's take a good look at that last insert ID. And that is in my recipe. So last insert ID is line 24. That's this guy right here. So did it not insert is my next question. And we can see that because if we go to our users, remember I'm Carb Freak. So if I go inside here, I'm Carb Freak 3 times, which is good. I'm happy it got inserted. But then why wasn't the last value, and it threw a fatal, last insert ID not working? So basically, last comment ID equals that. That was the 24th. This is the DBH. Oh, you know what? The comment ID. That should work as well. So let's take a good. Oh, it's insert. I apologize. That was so silly of me. And I had just done it in movie number 2. Okay, so we're gonna hit refresh, and we're right here, and let's do Carb Freak again. So we'll do Carb Freak and test comment. Okay, so comment posted successfully, and there's comments test. There's Carb Freak and test. So basically, my titles are occurring in my display. My comments are coming before. Okay, no, it works fine. It's the comment itself and then the person who did it. So I'm going to add a little more usability there, but I'm going to check my database, because now I should see Carb Freak, who's number 6, and I don't need to. I'm going to keep duplicate usernames. I have no problem with that, because I might have a couple Carb Freaks. The number needs to match. So that's why it may look odd to you that there's duplicates, but I'm going to keep one Carb Freak now for now. But if another one comes in, we don't know if it's the same guy. It might not be. So we could always check the database and say, hey, there's another username, try another, which I'll leave that up to you guys. That can be voluntary. But I got my comment here. Let's see what happened. So test, and I have my recipe ID, which is 1, and my user ID, which is 6, which is good. And my IP address for user ID 6 should be here, and I don't have it. So the recipe IP address now needs to have an insert. So somewhere when I insert into my recipes, my IP address, that failed. So this is the username, comment ID, IP. So let's go ahead and print our IP INSQL, and we'll do error info just like we've been doing, and here's error info like that, and let's see what happened. The beauty of working locally is we get to see. So this guy, I'm going to do Carb Freak again, and we're going to do awesome sauce. Make comment. And you have an error that write syntax next to 1. Okay, so this has an error in my SQL syntax. So I have, oh, there it is. If you look, I don't have that closing parenthesis. So at this point, I can run another one. Let's just hit continue, comment, and it says awesome sauce right there, which is perfect. And if I go to my IP address, I should see the IP address, and it's this. And that is actually localhost. So we're looking good there. And if you throw this on a server, you'll see it'll be a little bit different. All right, so that is how we make an insert of a comment. Now, that took a lot of work there, and the next video we're going to do is make sure that the user cannot submit twice, more than one comment to a singular recipe or a single IP address, okay?